Have you ever thought about getting your body pierced in somewhere in a place other than your earlobes? We are going to talk about body piercings in a whole new way today, not just for the decorative effect, but also for the healing aspects and the transformative power that you can achieve when you pierce
You
certain
ever
parts.
thought about getting your body?
Echoes, technology. We are live right now, and I am Elizabeth Ann Atkins of the Goddess Power Show, and I'm so excited to introduce you to Chari Weatherford. She is celebrating 24 years as a body piercer. She has a studio in Ashland, Oregon called Ritual Evolution. She is also a level 3 Reiki master, which means she uses the energy of her hands to heal. And she's a phenomenal, fascinating person that I'm so grateful to welcome to the Goddess Power Show. So you are truly a goddess, Shari. Welcome.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. So fascinated about this idea. I just learned that 36% of Americans have a body piercing outside of their earlobes, that 72% of them are women, and 33% of women have an actual belly button piercing. Fascinating. So, Shari, I want to talk with you about why people do this, the history, the safety and health factors, and how to go about finding a safe piercing experience.
Perfect.
Yes, but let's start with why you became a body piercer.
Mm. It's interesting. I remember being in grade school and experimenting with my mom's sewing kit, and it was really just in this curious way of what happens here. What is this like? And I would say probably there had to have been some influence from the National Geographics that I grew up on.
Okay.
That I think that have influenced many of us. Yeah, that was profound to witness and read stories and the pictures. Because body modification, as we know, has been around for thousands of years, 5,000 that we know of at least, I'm sure, probably a lot longer. And I believe there is this innate desire in us to change and alter our bodies. And with that, yeah, I see these reasons over and over that people choose to do it. And it's different for each person, but you see kind of the same stories over and over.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's beautiful that it's continued into Western culture, and I think especially for newer culture that has erased people and doesn't have a lot of its own rites and rituals, that there's people are still seeking this out. There's still
Mhm.
um, this need and desire for it.
Mhm.
So there's
But what
a lot
inspired
more,
you?
huh?
What inspired you? You have your mom's sewing kit. Did you start piercing yourself?
I did. Yeah. And I got
You
in trouble
did?
as a
Where?
teenager for piercing and tattooing my friends.
Oh my goodness. Okay, how'd that go?
Well, it was okay because I was still a minor, so I didn't get in too much trouble. But I used to hang out in my friend's piercing studio when I was about 18,
Uh-huh.
Ann in Salem, and it was kind of my first introduction to being in a real studio. And that was the first time I saw the name Fakir Musafar. And that I remember the moment looking in her portfolio when I saw the certificate that she had attended this school, and it stopped me. And
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't know who he was for some years, but um, later, so in 1999, it was something I'd always wanted to do. I got an opportunity to apprentice. And
Bakir Musafar, for those of you who don't know, according to Shari's website, is like the global master of body piercing. Is that correct?
well, he's definitely up there.
Okay, okay. So you got to
Yeah,
train under him. So you took this fascination with body piercing and you got the training and certification so that you could do it yourself legally.
yeah. I had already been piercing for 5 years when I sought out his school. I recognized that there was more going on. And I wanted to be my best and
Hmm.
do provide everything that I could for folks. And
Uh-huh.
And I sought his school out specifically because, there are all the physical anatomy and, physical aspects of it, but he also really got into the spiritual and energetic, brought in the energetic piece for me. And
Uh-huh.
that's something that I was seeking. And so 5 years in, I got to go do the basic course with him, and everybody wonderful at his school, Ken Coyote and his partner Cleo, and um, wonderful, wonderful people.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Where's it
it
located?
changed since San Francisco,
Oh, okay.
but that
Okay.
taking that course changed my life.
How?
Um, well, I remember after 5 days, we do a 5 day training and schooling and pierce people. And at the end, we do a ritual. And Fakir had asked me, "Do you want to get pierced in ritual?" I was like, "Sure." And he's like, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he ran his hand up in front of me and quickly said, "Your third chakra is partly closed. We should do a navel piercing to open it." And I'm like, "Okay." So,
Okay, wait. Let me just explain. Chakras are non-physical energy centers in the body, and there are seven main ones, raising going from your tailbone to the top of your head. Each one rules a different area of energy in your life. And the third chakra, the navel chakra, solar plexus chakra, is all about power
mhm,
with yourself and the world and action. Okay.
mhm. So, yeah, during that ritual we did, um, and one of my best friends, Jessica, was standing at my head. I was laying down, had my hands up. She was standing at my head with her hands on top of mine. And when Ken started to pierce me, there was this like fire, and then it increased in intensity, and then it increased again, and then just rushed through my body.
Oh my gosh. When you say fire, what do you mean? Energy, burst, heat?
Yeah, it was like this just intense sensation and energy, but it was definitely fire, which is associated with that chakra. My friend took a step back. It knocked her back.
What?
It took me about 15 minutes to get off that table. I was so high. I mean, it was just throughout my whole body, and quite an experience.
So,
Um,
Shari, what does that mean to your life? So, what
well,
did he explain it, or did you know
here's
what was
what
going on?
happened, right? Because this is about personal power, and I was blocked in that area. Within a very short amount of time, I left a 8 year relationship who was my best friend,
Oh,
and that was forward movement for both of us. And I opened ritual.
oh,
So yeah,
wow.
that was really big, very
Wow.
big,
Oh my goodness. That's
powerful catalyst for change. And it's something I could feel a month later. I could really feel it, and I could feel it 3 months later. So it's
mhm,
something that stayed with me for a while.
mhm, mhm. Amazing. So, my mission with the Goddess Power Show is activating the infinite power that we all have inside of ourselves that's mostly dormant, sadly, because of the societal conditioning that we have. And my mission is to help people live bigger, better, and bolder by activating that power. And the third chakra and what you just described is just mind-blowing because you did it and it changed your life because you left a relationship and you started your studio, and that's
Mhm.
your life purpose and passion. That is amazing, amazing. And wait, let me just share. I'm going to get my belly button pierced. I've been saying I want to do it for years. My mission, my next book is all about activating your goddess power, and it's right there in the center. I envision this starburst. Like when I meditate, I see my soul there glowing like that all through, but right there. And so, Shari, I can't wait to talk to you more about this because I'm going to do it. And uh-oh, who knows what I'm going to do? I'm going to just explode sitting here when I get it
Yeah.
done.
I think there's a reason that people are desiring the piercings that they are, you know.
Yes.
I see it over and over with people.
Uh-huh.
So,
So tell me about the transformations that you see in people when you pierce them. Let's start there at the
okay.
navel.
With the navel specifically,
Yes.
there's a couple of things that stick out to me. One, I get a lot of 14-year-olds, 16-year-olds. A lot is put on us in the world when we're coming out at that age, and um, it makes sense that they're getting that, and maybe can have more control over that or coming into their own power. So it makes sense that group of age group of people. But then I also get um, women a little older, kind of in big changes in their life at that stage. And one of the women I will never forget, she'd been in an abusive relationship for years. And she had finally left. She had packed. She was on a road trip when she stopped. She was headed to Mexico, but she stopped at my studio and got pierced. And there's been a few times that I've seen this just black smoke, what looks like a black smoke release out of somebody's body.
What?
She saw it herself. I've had two clients that also witnessed this, it's like this black apparition-y smoke that will exit the body. And it's immediate after piercings. When we pierce, we open the body. We open physical body, energy body, emotional body. It can go into different lifetimes. But she saw it. And she was a different person after the
Mm.
piercing. Like sometimes they look more clear. Sometimes they just look like, whoa. The transformations can happen, are powerful and can be pretty instantaneous. And not everybody has that experience. Some of them are more subtle. It's different for everybody, and it's different
Hmm.
every time I've received a piercing. Not, I've had my navel pierced more than once. I didn't have that experience both times.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it can be, unlocking that power center can be a huge catalyst. One thing I noticed, just being sensitive and being able to feel people, is that some people will be, it's like chunky energetically. It's like, trying to get that to move. And other people, I'll pierce them and it's just like, whoo,
Yeah.
it's like clear there already. So,
Uh-huh.
um, but yeah, yeah, it's neat. It's neat to
Oh,
witness.
uh-huh. So when we think of piercings, I think most people just like the aesthetic, the appearance of it, but you're taking it to a whole nother level and you're saying that it's deeply transformative and healing. So do most people pursue it for that reason, or do they know there's something, or are they just looking at the superficial beauty of it?
Again, with this Western culture being so new, we don't have a lot that's based around um, transformations and rites and rituals and coming of age ceremonies and stuff. But I think more people are opening to that, and I am lucky enough to live in a town where there are a lot of spiritual folk here and people that are open to bigger things, and so
Yeah.
um, it's been a great place for me to be and to be able to um, open my doors to people coming in and seeking something bigger.
Hmm.
And I like even just subtly mentioning things to people that there is a some, why are you here? I'll ask little questions to them, like, why are you here? How long have you been wanting this? Or
Uh-huh.
and you hear little bits come out, and
Hmm.
some people will come in like really wanting to schedule a lot of time and bring in a couple families, and it's like their daughters just started her menses and they want to celebrate that. And other people not so much, but I have my little things that I do in the room, and it yeah,
What
yeah,
do you
it's
do?
I have a bell that, well, I always do grounding techniques. And when I'm busy, that's in between clients, washing up, setting up a tray. I'm doing grounding and practicing Reiki and just doing my own thing. Most people don't know that, but that's something that I'm doing for both myself and my clients.
Hmm.
I've got a little ceremony bell I ring at the beginning of this experience. I ring it
Hmm.
at the end of the experience. I've been doing it for years. It's cute. I once in a while have teenagers come in and be like, "Do you ring the bell?" So people are talking about it
Oh,
out there.
uh-huh. And does the bell
Um,
clear the air or clear the energy or what does it do?
for me, that one, it just kind of signifies the beginning and then the end.
Oh, okay.
But then I've got a crystal bowl, and I just got a big crystal bowl in there. And
Hmm.
so that I find um, really useful when a lot of stuff comes up for people.
Uh-huh.
Just, if it's just big stuff, I'll do that. And I've got a shaker and it will really help just move things, help people move
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that we're not holding on to it.
Uh-huh.
When we go deep and access some of that stuff and it comes up, like, that, and breath work, we do everything with breath.
Uh-huh.
That's how I pierce people. Everybody lays down, private room. I keep calm music on, and everything happens with an exhale. So if, stuff comes up that's still needing moved, then I'll bring in some of these other tools to help folks.
Mm-hmm. So you help people breathe through the experience because of the pain or just to stay relaxed or what?
I mean, all of the above helps with anxiety, but it's it it if you hold your breath and tense up, the piercing still works. It's still going to happen.
Right.
It can hurt more. And the key to life is to breathe, and when we're
Ooh.
open and relaxed and breathing, it's a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had a couple of experiences where, like an earlobe, for example, that everybody's skin's different, but I've got a generalized idea about how it's going to feel to stick a needle through an earlobe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when somebody goes, it can physically be hard to push through because you're also pushing
Oh,
through energy body, right? All
wow.
of a sudden, it's harder for me, it's harder for them.
Uh-huh.
And then on the opposite experience of that, I had clients say, like, wait, did you do the piercing? What? I didn't even feel it.
Oh, wow.
And the first time I had my doth pierced, it was a potent experience. Shot blinding white light across my face. Oof. So then I got it done some years later, and I was with a piercer that I really love and trust. And I was just imagining my body like a lotus and opening, and I was in trust with this person too, but just really trying to open. And all of a sudden I look over and I recognized where she was on the tray setup, and she had already done the piercing and I hadn't felt it. Um,
Wow. And you're talking about this little thing right here in
that would
front of
be
your
this
ear?
inner ear one. It's
Oh,
a
inner
doth.
ear.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the transformative power of that location?
I mean, who knows?
Oh,
Right in
okay.
between like throat chakra and third eye.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And
and they
so
all
can,
affect each other anyway, but
mhm.
septum,
And
I've noticed a strong correlation to third eye.
okay.
You see a lot of people have all of a sudden have visions, or I'll sometimes see them in a past lifetime, or there's
Uh-huh.
or hear ancestors come in, and that is the third the that one for me is the septum. That's I see that really strong correlation there, which is
Oh,
one of
that
the
was the
reasons
next
I love
question.
it.
Is this the septum right here?
Uh-huh.
So when people have nose piercings or nose rings, that's the septum, and that opens the third eye, which rules intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
I
that's a
wondered why
piercing.
that was so popular. Do you think the average person is aware of that, or do they just like the look?
That's interesting too. That piercing has been around for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of it's found on every continent around the world.
Uh-huh.
Um, in any origin stories, I'm not sure. Um, they didn't used to be as popular as they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had mine for 29 years.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, I'm curious, and it's just a little thing I've played with in my mind, but used to be a little bit more of like kind of a hardcore thing. Um, you know, and then now I peer is so many like you know young and all ages really, um, but female and female identifying folks. I do a lot of gold, um, and it seemed to come around the time that we were having like the Me Too movement, and there were big movements of people stepping forward, and I think, and I like the correlation just with the gold um, and people get all types of jewelry put in their septum, but there seems to be this stepping forth in their power, but also with integrating this beauty. Um, yeah, I don't know.
And the relevance of
Interesting though.
gold,
Seems like a movement in a way.
I like it. So I'm certain most people, a lot of people don't know what chakras are and they're not conscious of their energy fields and energy powers. So they might just be intuitively drawn to this by their soul to
Mhm.
elevate them energetically, which is amazing. So let's talk about um, other types of popular piercings. So let's talk about nipples. Why would someone get their nipples pierced?
I mean, they look good always. I would say though, probably 75%, rough estimate of the people that come in to get pierced will share that they just went through a breakup, which makes
What?
perfect sense when the nipples directly relate to our heart center. So this makes so much sense. And that's why I love that piercing for people, because if we have anything stuck, stored, pain or grief, or that's an opportunity for it to come out because we open the body. And so
Wow.
yes, I think that people will, be drawn to a piercing, and maybe they have the awareness about it, or maybe they don't, but they're still drawn to that piercing. So
Wow.
that is a piercing that people burst down into tears semi regularly, and that there's not really another piercing that does that. I mean, people can have a physical response, or a release here or there, but it is almost always with nipples.
So
So
it's healing of the heart and heartache.
it's opening, yeah, but that's not why everybody's there either. We can open for release, but we can also open the heart center to bring in what we want. And so I'll often mention a little bit with clients while I'm setting up and marking, because I think if people are able to bring their awareness in, and then their intention can make it even more powerful. And that's
Hmm.
the part. So I like dropping a little bit of hints and messages to them. But
Beautiful. All
other
right.
people, other people, we're not, I don't share that with everybody. And, and so some people will be there and we're talking and we're having just this one-on-one experience. And then all of a sudden they're bawling. And then they'll share, like breakup or whatever. So even if we
Oh,
don't have that awareness, it still happens. Like I know why people are there. Um,
so let's talk about a breakup and getting nipple piercings. It seems like it's sort of a reclaiming of self or doing something bold to say, I'm independent and free of that.
yes. Yeah, and that can also, I see that also with breastfeeding mothers. That they just finished breastfeeding their third child, they are done, and they are reclaiming their body, their breasts for their own. That's powerful.
Wow. Wow. Fascinating. Okay, let's go a little lower and talk about a clitoris piercing.
Okay.
Why would someone do that?
I don't do clitoris piercings.
Oh,
There are very, very few women that are equipped for one of those anatomy wise. But what I do and then are really common and popular are clitoral hood piercings. There's a vertical and a horizontal. We call them VCH, HCH for horizontal clit piercing, hood, horizontal clitoral hood piercing. But the VCH is the most common, super, super easy to heal. They take somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks to heal. I've had countless women swear they were healed in 2 weeks, and they're not. They take a little longer than we think. They always do.
uh-huh.
But that many people think that they are healed within 2 weeks period is awesome, which all piercings heal that easy. So then you get stimulation from the jewelry riding on the clitoris without risking any nerve damage of actually piercing the clitoris.
Oh, okay. So when you say hood, you just mean the skin up there?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So in that, what's the energetic transformational motivation for that?
Well, that's second chakra. I would say a huge amount of folks are looking for stimulation and pleasure. I've had people that have never had an orgasm before, or they've never had an orgasm with another partner before. Sometimes it's just hard, and so it'll be beautiful when like a partner comes in to support them during that. Um, so pleasure. I mean, we all, pleasure is wonderful. It's something we all want to enjoy in our lives. But then it gets bigger than that too. I've worked with a lot of survivors that are releasing energy and reclaiming body. That is beautiful, beautiful work. Um, I worked with a mother who had lost a child, and the this scream that came out of her and the tears was something that no woman should, no mother or father should ever have to experience with a child, but it was something that she had, and what came out of her was is a sound that I won't ever forget. You know, so there's big experiences that we've had, not just in this lifetime, but in lifetimes.
Hmm.
And then when I think another thing that's important too is that those piercings where like I just want it to look cute, um, that's really big too. So not to excuse people that are just doing it for looks or it's cool or whatever. Um, they I had a client years ago when we were talking about anatomy and said, I don't know, it's ugly. I don't look down there. And I
No.
remember the color of gems that we put in. We put in two pink sparkly gems.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of it, they were just like, it's so cute.
Oh my
So
goodness. Wow. Now that is transformational.
it is. And when and again, it's like, oh, it just, we're doing it for beauty or for looks, but that can be deeply profound, big change for people as well.
That's
Um,
self-love. That's self-acceptance. That's self-celebration. I love, love, love that.
yeah, some people, it might be a gender affirming piercing for them. Sometimes it's, I had a woman come in and her doctor had recommended that she get a genital piercing because
What?
before sexual health and happiness, because she wanted to live a long life.
Uh-huh.
And she had children at this point and had a husband, and that was great. I love that.
So, Shari, do men get their penises or scrotums pierced?
Mhm.
They do?
Yes.
Where?
Well, there's lots of different piercings, and all can be really anatomy dictated, and some of them are talked about in ancient religious script. So these go
Oh,
back, a couple thousand years or so, somewhere in
uh-huh.
there. Yeah, it's fascinating to know that again, this is an innate desire in humans that we've been doing probably a lot longer than we have record of.
Uh-huh.
And these can
So,
be this might be for stimulation for themselves. It might be stimulation for their partner, or both,
uh-huh.
or adornment, or again to
Adornment.
funny story just
Okay.
flashed through my head on that.
Fascinating.
Uh-huh.
So, let's talk health and safety.
Sure.
What are some considerations or risks, first of all, that people should know exist when you get a piercing?
I think that there's two really important things, and it's what I see be the most issue. One is that you have quality jewelry. There are a lot of mystery metals on the market, and a lot of them are not safe for us.
Mystery
Um,
metals.
yeah, who knows what's
Okay.
in that? Um, so that's probably one of the biggest issues that I've ever seen with body piercing across the
Hmm.
board. Their body's not okay with the metal. Um, I personally am a big fan of titanium. That's what they use for bone implants. It's nickel free. I do titanium, a little niobium. We do 14 to 18 karat solid nickel free gold. Those metals do really well for almost everybody. It's possible that there's somebody out there that has a reaction, but it's
Hmm.
extremely rare.
Hmm.
So making sure that are buying and putting into your body. This is so important, like eating organic and what we put into ourselves. So is the metal you put in your body.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Um,
So titanium.
titanium's great. That's like my base metal in the studio that I use. Gold's amazing, high energy vibration. I love
Gold.
that one.
I wanted to
Um,
ask why you mentioned gold earlier, especially for the septum. So gold is high energy and high vibrational.
mhm.
Okay.
And there's something that feels good about it. I was really resistant to gold. I was like black and silver when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
piercing with it for years, I recognize that there is something special about this. So it feels good in the body. It feels really
Gold.
good in the body.
Okay, so when you make your appointment to get a piercing, can you request the specific metal?
Yeah, all everything that we do in my studio is nickel free, implant grade. Um, yeah, and then some of them are going to be that we need to start with a longer post for swelling or things like that. So titanium's kind of my base metal. Um, and then we can upgrade to gold, or if it's appropriate that that size can be used initially right off the bat, then we can start with gold. But if we're going to
Okay.
downsize it in 4 weeks, then it's,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and that's why I use titanium because I don't see the reactions to it.
Okay, so risk number one is potential reaction to metal.
Yes.
So go for titanium and nickel free, and if
Well,
you can do gold,
sure,
gold.
that's my opinion about things. There's people out there that can wear implant grade steel, but a lot of the stuff that's coming in, we don't know what it is, or it's a low grade steel, and you'll see more problems with those. I
Okay.
used to be able to wear steel, and then my body's changed, and I can't touch it even in my healed piercings. So,
Mm.
our bodies change too. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um,
So what's another risk?
and then the other thing I always love to tell people is to keep your hands off it. It's like my magic spell I want to put on people. It is vital to avoid an infection is to keep your hands off it, keep it clean.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
On that note, I have seen one infection in a genital piercing in 24 years. They have a
Wow.
very, very low rate of infection. He was an, oh gosh, 87-year-old man who had not had, his children were all grown and had children, and him and his wife had not had sex since their children were conceived. So he hadn't had sex in a long time, and he came in, had a lot of fun with his genital piercings, but he also was terrible at touching. So he ended up at
Oh,
a doctor. He got a little antibiotic cream, and he cleared it up, and he was fine.
okay.
Um, but that goes for all piercings.
Uh-huh.
But when you talk about, that type of a rate with infections for genitals, especially, that is great. I see more infections in, little kids' lobes
Mm.
and nostril
Okay,
cavity.
so don't touch it.
Yeah, don't
What
touch it. Keep
else?
it clean. Health and hygiene. Your aftercare is important. And then all piercings, really are anatomy dictated. So finding a piercer that can help you, decide if your anatomy is appropriate, if, and then what you're looking for in your piercing, if this is going to be the right one for you. And on that level, I want to mention here briefly the APP, that's the Association of Professional Piercers. They've been around since 1994. They're an international health and safety organization. And their focus is to disseminate all information regarding all levels of piercing, jewelry, sterilization techniques. So anybody that's interested in finding a piercer I would highly recommend go to safepiercing.org. I'm hoping maybe we can
Okay,
put a little link there for people.
absolutely.
Find an APP member in your area. These are going
Mm-hmm.
to be your piercers that have gone above and beyond what often a state even requires for licensing.
Mm.
They will be using the highest quality metals. Um, and yeah, that's highly recommended if you want to find a
Okay.
piercer in your area, the APP.
Okay, we'll definitely include the link here so people can check out and find the safest person to do their piercing in your area.
Yeah.
Um, Excellent, excellent. So what about you said aftercare? What does that often entail?
Mm. Keeping your hands off it is the biggest
Right?
one.
Uh-huh.
Saline sprays, staying out of hot tubs. I mean, it's the biggest thing is keeping it clean. I'm a big fan of keep it clean, leave it alone, let your body do what it knows how to do. It knows how to heal. Your body is always
Uh-huh.
healing.
Uh-huh.
If we have a good quality metal in there, it can do that. If we don't have a good quality metal in there, or anatomy wasn't appropriate for the piercing, or it's getting slept on all the time, or there's things that are going to affect that. So depending on what piercing it is, and body part, but
Hmm.
some kind of generalized scope of how things should be treated. And this is all stuff that people can look at on the Association of Professional Piercers website as well. There's a lot of
Okay.
good information out there.
Awesome, awesome. So Shari, do you find that it's addictive if like somebody gets one body part pierced and they're like, "Oh, what's next? What can I do now?"
I don't know. People say that once in a while, addictive. I don't know if it's so much the addiction versus like they just got past a fear. They did it. It wasn't bad as they thought. That's really fun. Like, I love that jewelry. I'm totally in love with it. What else can we do?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I love it. It's exciting. And so how often do piercings and tattoos go together?
I mean, pretty often they're in the same realm.
Mm-hmm.
You're making yeah, opening the body and making change, and I've been at times. I've spent years as a piercing only studio, and now I've got two tattoo artists in my studio, and
Oh, okay, okay. And your tattoo on your neck is spectacular. It's a blue lotus, right?
uh-huh.
And please explain the significance of that.
You asked a big question.
I love it.
Um, yeah, well, that was I had some clearing that needed to happen there that I had been aware of for years. Um, I couldn't have my throat touched by even a woman without all of a sudden not being able to breathe and choking and so I had some trauma there. And first time my band wanted me to sing on a mic, I blacked out just
Oh
by two
no.
lines, but
Oh
just
no.
terrified. And but I'd always wanted to sing. And so yeah, it was really, the choice and having a open flower and the work there was really to open and clear. And oof, I we got about 3 lines into it with the artist I was working with, and it put me in another lifetime. And I
Another
was in
lifetime.
it put me in another lifetime. My throat was being cut from here to gaping over here. And I just kept happening. And I was in kind of two worlds. I was telling myself, you're okay, you're safe, you're with your friend. And then I was experiencing this over and over. So what do? I started shaking on the table, and so what do? So I started just breathing light in my head and trying to, move and clear, and this black ball left my throat, like huge black ball.
Oh my goodness.
It
Oh
was
my,
gnarly.
oh
Um
my goodness. Wait, for those of people who aren't familiar with meditation and visions like this, and you say a black ball left your throat, can you just explain what that means, please?
yeah, and energetic. Um but sometimes you can see them.
Uh-huh.
So needless to say, that tattoo appointment was over real quick. We didn't
Oh
make
my
it very
goodness.
far.
You had to stop then?
Oh yeah, that was pretty
Oh,
big. So then
oh,
the next time I came back, we got a few lines in, and all of a sudden tears welled up, and I thought, thank goodness that was this lifetime.
oh.
And I wept and I grieved and just let things move. And then I got tattooed multiple other times. Last session was like 7.5 hours. Oof. Um,
What? Of one
but
session?
nothing, yeah, I was trying to finish it. But nothing ever came up again.
Oh, wow.
And after multiple tattoo sessions and hours, nothing ever came up. And I sing on a mic now, and I can be here talking now, and
Yes. So wait,
feels good. It's been the most beautiful, healing, potent, gnarly. That was not a funny, that was the hardest tattoo I have ever done with my
oh,
throat. And it was I've got the biggest transformation and healing. And I don't know how else I could have done that.
yeah,
What I was able to access and clear and move there.
yeah.
Whew, so thankful. And I'm glad
Oh,
it's over.
yes, yes, yes. So the throat chakra is turquoise and it rules communication and our divine right to speak and hear our highest truth. And if the throat chakra is blocked, and often we have blocks from past life traumas. I'm a certified intuitive practitioner. So when I meditate, I see balls and ropes and blood and snakes and all kinds of stuff. It's energetic symbolism of stuff coming out of your body. And once you release it, you feel lighter and healed. And so the throat chakra is where we speak our truth, where we're able to sing, like she said. And so hers is cleared. And the tattoo literally transformed it into this blue lotus beauty. And blue lotuses are from ancient Egypt. They
Oh,
bloomed on the Nile and they bloom beautifully on the water, but at night they go down in the mud. So the symbolism of going down in the mud is oftentimes in life when we're going through difficult things, it's like being in the mud, but we're still that lotus flower and we still come up and bloom in the sunshine. And
rebirth.
that mud is nurturing because it makes us who we are.
Oh,
So when I
know
first
that.
saw her tattoo, Shari, when I first saw you and met you and saw that and you told me the story, I was like, oh my God, spirit sister here. Love that. Beautiful.
Yeah, so
Okay,
this is
so
this is really why I do this work for people. Um, it's when I first opened my when I first opened my business in 2008. I think that was the year of the recession, and I was struggling.
oh
I was
no.
struggling for a while, for some years actually. And there was a few times that I had debt. I didn't have any debt when I started that business, and I was just done. I'm like, why am I working? I'm working to be further in debt. There were times I wanted to quit,
Yeah.
and several times I threw up my hands. I'm like, that's it. And that
Wow.
night, every single time, I was like, I'm done. I would run into clients that would come up to me and be, oh my goodness, I have to tell you about this spirit. I can't, like experience. I can't thank you enough. And I was like, okay.